we move on to discuss Napoli's statement victory over AC Milan. Now, this was a game that was um, a big game, a big show. I have to say, I was so excited, looking forward to this one because it was a chance to see has Napoli started the season has been a fluke. They came into this game was was I believe they had 22. Yeah, they had 22 points entering this game, 7 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. They were at first place in Serie A, and they're coming on some positive momentum, and I wanted to see how they built on the 4 consecutive wins that they had in Serie A against Monza, Como, Empoli, Lis, and they defeated the likes of Milan 2-0. Really good opening goal from, and they went away in San Siro to do that. Really good opening goal from Romelu Lukaku. The physicality to him, using his shoulder, out muscling, I believe it was Pavlovic to get through 1-0. Then you have some quality from Kvaratskhelia to make it 2. Interesting, interesting approach from Paulo Fonseca in this one. He brought in Pulisic and Leao off the bench to save the deal in that second half. They couldn't come up with the moments to get Napoli to get AC Milan back into the game. And it's Napoli, and despite them not really dominating these games, they are playing efficient football. They're defending really. Oh, by the way, Pulisic was out of the lineup due to the flu. Just to correct myself there. But as far as Napoli though, in this one, in general this season, they've been able to be very, very efficient. And we know with Antonio Conte, this is not a manager that's going to just open the team up and allow them to be defensive vulnerable. He has a balanced way of going about it. And some will call it pragmatic. I call it playing football, the way, playing football, the way you want it to play. If you want to be naturally a pragmatic manager, in my opinion, there's beauty in that. I think there's a portion of the population that correlates pragmatism in terms of soccer tactics as a negative approach, and as I've heard him been called many times now football terrorism. While I happen to see the beauty aspect of playing pragmatic football. I appreciate the beauty of defending, the dullness, because it takes a lot of, number one, whenever you play that way, it takes a lot of mental discipline, because you will be under a lot of pressure. You will concede possession, and whenever a team has majority of the possession, you have to be constantly aware of the spaces that that the other team could take advantage of. You have to be constantly closing the gaps. You have to be compact in the way you defend. There's an element there that requires a lot of mental toughness. And that's not something I overlook when I'm seeing a team play that pragmatic approach. And then it requires, number one, for you to be deadly in transition and for you to be efficient. You have to be efficient, because you're not going to be able, when you have less of possession, when you have less men forward, you're going to have less opportunities to get the breakthrough. So when the opportunities come, take advantage of it. And that's what exactly Lukaku did. 50 minutes, an opportunity arose, and he took advantage of it. And that's probably why, Antonio Conte wanted Lukaku. Now, Lukaku is not considered to be the most consistent player in the world, but he plays consistent football under Antonio Conte. And I don't know, they're both of them, Conte, Lukaku, they both each other's safe space, I guess. As far as Napoli, they're looking good. And this is reminding me a lot of Antonio Conte's first season at Chelsea. You go back to that first season that he had at Chelsea, where he won the Serie A, or where he won the Premier League. Keep in mind, it was a Chelsea team that completely crapped the bed the year before, kind of like what Napoli did last season. When he took over for Chelsea, there was a really bad loss that they suffered early on. I believe it was second or third game of the season at home to Arsenal. They lost 3-0. And, it was an opportunity for Conte to analyze the team there and to make the necessary changes. This Serie A campaign, Napoli start off with a 3-0 loss to Verona. And they've gone on since that game. They're unbeaten in Serie A through 9 games, 8 wins and a draw. It's just the correlations to me is outstanding. Not just the fact that this doesn't say that Napoli's gonna win Serie A or anything. I don't believe in those sort of conspiracies and those superstitions. I don't believe in that. But I definitely think there's a pattern of consistency to analyze here, and how Conte, he's able to make a difference at a club fast, especially if there's that. You can't go from the best team in Serie A running away with it to suddenly 11th place or whatever they finished last season in Serie A. I think, no, they didn't finish 11th. They finished 10th place last season in Serie A. You don't suddenly turn that bad. You don't suddenly, they didn't lose that much quality to go number 1 and run away with it to number 10. The quality is still there. That manager that following season just couldn't get the best out of it. Well, Conte, he's been able to get the best out of his players. He has them playing with confidence. He has them playing with a belief. Even when they go, even in games, if they were to go down, they have that belief that they're gonna come back. They hardly ever go down, really. I don't think they've gone down against any team to this point. No, they did, against Parma. That's the game I was talking about. That was another game I tuned in. They went down against Parma, and they were still able to come back in that one. This is a team not to be messed with, Napoli is. And it makes them even more deadly, the fact that they're not playing any European football. Again, another correlation with that first season that Conte had at Chelsea. They didn't have to play no European football. I think now that Conte has that opportunity to really zone in and put all of his attention solely on the Serie A, Inter Milan, they might have some serious competition this year. Obviously Inter Milan are trying to go for that back-to-back Serie A, 3 in the last 4. It'd be a great achievement for them, don't get me wrong, but Napoli under Antonio Conte will not be no pushovers. And we know the success that Conte has had in Serie A with multiple clubs now, including Inter Milan. So, yeah, if you're a Napoli supporter, you are riding high. You're riding high. You're excited. You don't understand what, you're still not able to comprehend what should be the real expectations going forward. It's hard. With the amazing start you had, now you don't want to get carried over. But this defense doesn't concede many goals. You have an opportunistic attack that is efficient when the opportunities come that you need to take advantage of. There is a recipe there with formula. They have the manager. They have the recipe in terms of the quality, in terms of the play style, in terms of the efficiency. It's just now the consistency. Can we see this game in, game out to the end of the season? I don't see why we should doubt them. Through these first 10 games, I don't see why we should doubt them. But Inter Miami will. I keep saying Inter Miami. Inter Milan is still going to be their very, very difficult test. I do have to say.